What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I want to talk about something that has to do with the current season that we're in. I kind of want to just tell a little bit of a story, hoping it'll resonate with one of you guys, because to be honest, this is one of the most important lessons that I've learned thus far. So I'm going to go ahead and get right into it. Around early November was when I decided I was going to have enough. And by enough, I mean I didn't want to work in, a 9 to 5 anymore. I was working at a warehouse for an e-commerce store. And that sounds way fancier than what it was. It was, just a super ugly warehouse. It would get super cold in the winters and it would get extremely hot in the summers. And it wasn't the wave. I think I was earning maybe like 17 bucks an hour. I don't really remember. But yeah, I'd go in at a certain time and I had like the afternoon shift. So I never really got to see my family because they were coming home from like the morning shift or whatever. And yeah, it was terrible, right? We went in, we would have like a 15-minute break, 30-minute lunch, another 15-minute break. But ultimately, they were the ones who were deciding when I was, supposed to come back, when I was supposed to do this, that, all that jazz, all that stuff that you get at a regular 9 to 5. And I ultimately hated it. I could not stand it. I could not stand the people there. I don't mean to sound mean, but when you're working in a certain type of role and you're working in a certain type of environment, then you are surrounded by just like-minded people and not in a good way. So I knew I needed to find a way out. And up until this point, I was really just doing, some free YouTube research on, what my avenues were, what options did I have, right? And I ultimately came down to the conclusion that I just needed to figure something out. And I needed to burn my boats. I needed to do something that was going to require me to have my back against the wall. So I literally had no other option but to not fail. And that's what happened. I quit. I put in my 2 weeks and it was pretty hard, to be honest, mainly because of the stability, right? We knew every single week we were going to come out with like $530, 600 every single week. And yeah, it's nothing crazy. It's not a crazy amount of money to earn at all, but I at least knew that was guaranteed to come as long as I went to work. And so knowing that was not going to come in anymore was a little bit scary and it was frightening. I didn't know what would happen if my account got to zero. And I also felt like it was necessary to have a conversation with, my parents. And it's funny enough, my dad actually got me that job. He was the one who put in a good word and pulled some strings for me to, be in that warehouse. We had recently moved to a new town, so I needed to find something. And yeah, it was difficult. It was difficult having to tell them that I came up with this decision. And even worse, because it was near the holidays, I needed to kind of tell them, like, look, I hate to sound a certain way, or I hate to even say this at all. I've never wanted to say this to my parents ever. But, Christmas or, the holidays in general are probably just going to be a little bit rough because I need to make sure I make the most use of my time, right? Rather than spending it on gifts where, I really just needed it for my well-being. I needed it to survive and pay bills, pay rent. And surprisingly, because I really think I have like one of the best parents on the planet, they were very okay with it. And if anything, it encouraged me even more. They 100% believed that I could do something, that I could figure something out, and that I would figure something out, even if I didn't have full conviction. But they did, and they told me it's completely okay. Just get to work, do it, right? But I believe in you. And that right there was what ultimately led me down a path where I couldn't fail, no matter how hard I tried. It was impossible for me to fail because I knew I had them in my side, in my corner, regardless of if they were going to benefit from, me giving them presents or buying them everything from the store when I knew I couldn't. And so that's pretty much when I got to it. I got started and I tried to figure out all of those different avenues that, ultimately needed to lead me down a path where I was going to see success and I was going to bring in some sort of online income. And originally it was to start like a coaching business, right? Because that's what was trending at the time and it still is. The only problem was I had nothing to coach on. I had no skills and I tried to trick myself into thinking I did have anything to offer. And that went exactly as you would expect. It failed. The next thing was, an SMMA and short form content and trying to start up an agency, and all of them failed. I'm going to make the story shorter than it is, but they all failed. And yeah, ultimately, I ended up investing, and this I took out a loan to be able to do so into a program that was essentially going to help you, again, start some sort of a business, help you develop skills. And it was really cool because, again, I came to the conclusion and I did not learn my lesson that I did not have any skills, but this particular person that I bought into gave me a chance. And, I pestered him and I was persistent enough, but yeah, he gave me a chance to kind of prove myself and ultimately just kind of learn whatever it is that I needed to do to succeed. And it's funny, I started off with, editing the reels and I wasn't even doing the editing. Then I helped him with like Notion development. And ultimately, I ended up landing as an appointment setter. And that was the thing that I got into. That was a skill that I eventually came to learn. And yeah, he let me in after I bugged him and he was going to be out of town. But he just told me, you know what, have at it. And I ended up doing really well very quickly. I obviously wasn't the best straight out of the gate, but I did enough to prove myself and show him that I had the potential to make an impact on the business. And yeah, it took some time, but again, luckily I was able to start bringing in some sort of an income. I started earning commission and I knew it was now possible. The belief that I had that maybe this online stuff isn't for me or it isn't real was completely shattered. And even better, I was on a team for somebody that was charging 3, 4, 5, and then we got all the way up to $8,000, $10,000. That was life-changing in itself, right? Just being able to know that, hey, it's actually possible. A lot of people spectate from the outside perspective, and a lot of people can think this entire online world is a scam. And I'll be honest, there are people out there that unfortunately don't provide actual value, but there is also the side that does do that does change lives, that actually does give people results. And so long story short, like I started off this video, we are in the winter season and obviously next week is Christmas, and I am now in a position to be able to provide presents for all of my family. I didn't have to have that conversation with them anymore, and I haven't worked a normal job in more than a year now. And the overall reason why I even told you this entire story is because the lesson that I want you to take away from this is that you need to put yourself in a position that will be uncomfortable. It might suck. It might suck for a couple of months, right? Because that's how everything goes. You start at the bottom and it's your job to figure out how are you going to get yourself out of this corner, right? Everybody gets into a rut. Everybody is stuck in a shitty situation, but there's always a way out. And that was a sacrifice that I had to make. I had to have that hard conversation with my parents and tell them, I'm not going to be able to buy you guys the Christmas gifts that I want to, right? I might get you like a shirt and, maybe slippers, right? That I could buy at Target for like $10, but that had to be done. I had to sacrifice not taking my girlfriend out the way I wanted to. I had to refrain from buying stuff for my own pleasure the way I wanted to. I am in love with tech stuff. As you can see, I have all the nice gear, the best monitor. Like, I just love that stuff. But I had to refrain from doing that for that time period because I knew the next couple of months was going to be hard. And again, yeah, that's the lesson that I want you guys to take away from here, guys. If you are in a shitty situation that's not going to last forever, I challenge you to make it even worse. Make your shitty situation even worse and put yourself in a corner and see what you come about with. You are going to make it happen. You are going to find a way because that is human nature. We have an instinct to survive, and you need to be able to inherit that. You need to kind of pull that out of your soul and really dive into that, because if you don't, you are going to continue on with the life that you're living. If you are stuck in a 9 to 5 that you completely hate and you have bosses that don't respect you at all, you're going to continue living that life unless you decide to burn your boats and make some change happen. One of the biggest quotes or sayings that I've heard from my mentor is, you've got to change, right? You have to change the daily habits that you do every single day to see real change, right? And it's a risk. I know it's risky. I know shit is scary, but what else are you going to do? And ask yourself this question on a daily basis if you're kind of thinking whether you're on the fence of either making an investment into something that you've never kind of spent the amount of money on, or you just kind of want to quit your job. What is the worst possible outcome? To me, the worst possible outcome can be if my freedom is revoked from me. Meaning I go to jail and I have to shit and pee and eat lunch when I'm told. That's the worst thing that can happen to me. Or I just, die. I don't know. There's so many more bad things that can happen to you other than having to lose your job or not having a paycheck coming in every single week, right? Like I'm pretty sure last Christmas when I did get them gifts, or I did get them like a t-shirt or like slippers or whatever, I had to use government money. As you guys know, the like C-19 thing happened and they sent out money to everybody in California or whatever. I'm pretty sure we used that money to be able to provide gifts. All right. And that's just that's just a message that I wanted to kind of convey in one of these videos, especially because Christmas is like 4 days away. And it really hits home for me. And I don't know if anybody's going through a similar situation that I was, but I want you to know there's always a way, but you need to sacrifice for it. And the sacrifice doesn't necessarily have to affect you directly. It can affect everyone around you, right? If you're willing to take it on the chin and, you know, suck it up and not buy anything for the next couple of months, then cool. But you have to be able to sacrifice that for everyone around you and everybody that you care about, right? Because now, you know, I don't regret the decision that I made last year. I pretty much have everything that I can ask for. And I want every single person that's watching this YouTube video to learn this lesson, sacrifice, so you can have everything you've ever wanted. Okay, if you want that location freedom and you want that financial freedom, then do it, then make it happen. It is simple. You just have to make a decision, burn your boats and sacrifice, and watch where you are a year from now. I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you guys think about these types of videos, and I'll see you all in the next one.